On this road, here it is. Westchester County Center, April 9th, 2020, Lord's Passover. It is going to be a ridiculously glorious night. 2020, Lord's Passover. It is going to be a ridiculously glorious night. What's going on in this world? Here it is. Westchester County Center, April 9th, 2020, Lord's Passover. It is going to be a ridiculously glorious night. We came up here to get to check out the arena for ourselves, look at it. Big shout out to Captain Jakar for setting it all up, organizing it, putting the contract together. He did an excellent job. Big shout out to Captain Zaryak for hosting us up here in New York as he does every year faithfully in the name of the Most High in Christ. Big shout out to everybody that came together. You're going to have a night like you've never had before. We've got the entire arena. The UPK has come to the level of taking over arenas for the Lord's Passover. It is amazing. You're going to have the time of your life. The brotherhood and sisterhood is going to be insane. You've got to come up and see this here. You've got to participate and be part of it in order.
All again from Westchester County. Did you were you able to download that so we show on the page?
Not yet.
Did they hear that?
Last didn't have it yet. And
Did they hear that?
No, they're hearing this right here.
Okay.
Loud.
All right, no sweat. So last week you had given me the address on the piece of paper. That piece of paper is not up here now. So don't worry about that. We can go right into the class. You ready right now? Can you hear me? You good right now? All right, Most High in Christ. It's Captain LeBron. I represent the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge under Commander General Yohana, who've been holding it down since 1969. We up on the 51st annual Passover, hosted by Commander General Yohana, and it is set to be a glorious occasion. And I believe it's Westchester County Center, right? And it's located where at?
It's in Westchester, New York.
Westchester, New York, man. So everybody, man, that's an Israelite, man, you ordered by the man that's holding it down for Christ in the earth today. You're ordered to come together under one banner, man. This house is not divided. In the Israelite School, the UPK has been doing it since 1969. We are the foremost authority on the Bible and on Israelite culture as it pertains to what we are commanded to do under the Most High in Christ. All right, today, part of this class is going to be breaking down the true Christmas spirit, man. We're gonna get into some of the history in regards to how was Christmas.
Yes.
How was Christmas introduced to blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indian people, and was it introduced to blacks, Hispanics, and Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian people as a means to bring them closer to the Most High? We're gonna answer those questions. We're gonna get off into Shalaki Hebrew. We're gonna get into the its origin and how it has impacted our nation either way, negatively or positively. We're gonna get into that, and then you're gonna make a decision for yourself as to whether or not Christmas should be a thing that we celebrate after today. Ephesians 6 and verse 12 for me real quick. Hold on, Slocky. Before we start, any questions out there in the audience? Any questions off that particular topic? Anything? So I'm gonna ask questions since everybody out there know the Bible. When you come to this class, what you want to do is you want to ask a question, no matter how deep the question is. All right. No matter how deep the question is, if you don't, then I'm gonna call on you and I'm gonna ask you some deep questions pertaining to the Bible, because we gotta learn here. And if you know the Bible, I don't know the whole Bible, so I'm gonna call on you guys to answer some questions, since there is no questions in this class designed to answer questions. All right, student, you got it all back there. Huh? You know all the breakdowns.
No, no.
So you don't. What about you, student?
I don't know all the breakdown.
Obviously you do. You didn't come to class with questions. What about you, Michelle? You got any questions?
Comment. I want to comment.
Please.
The first question is actually do with the class.
Mm-hmm.
Is it my imagination, or is everything turning up gay? And did the Bible say it was going to happen?
Man, that's ironic that you would ask that question, because that's part of that's part of the Christmas spirit is homosexuality. I didn't want to go there, but since we don't have a lot of questions from the audience, we could actually start, right? Homosexuality was a big part of Rome, right? If you ever watched any, you know, what movie was that they had, the 300, and really it was about the Greeks, but the Romans was in there as well. If you've ever watched any Game of Thrones, right? All of it was deeply uh, in had homosexuality deeply embedded in their culture, right? Homosexuality was a part of the Roman culture. You can see it through all of their artifacts. You know what I'm saying? And some of their archaeology, their statues. You know what I mean? Even in their their writings, they talk about homosexuality. Leonardo da Vinci and Cedric Borgia and all of these famous individuals, even if they had a wife, some of the kings, you know, like what was that crackpot they murdered? Julius Caesar was a ravished homosexual. So the Roman culture, I mean, the Roman Catholic Church got its rise by an individual named Constantine. Was it Constantinople? Constantine? Right. Was he the first pope of Rome? He was the first pope of Rome, and so coming Christianity having its rise from a culture that was deeply embedded in homosexuality would would permeate its I would say its rise with homosexuality, because that was a big part of its culture, right? That's how you get all of these. If you even look at the individuals that they paint or portray, right, you can see a twinge of gay. Like, that shit is not masculine at all. You know, some of the dress, some of the way the flair on some of the individuals, you can see, you can see a homosexual in his speech. You know what I'm saying, and how he carried himself. So, being the society that actually captured the 12 tribes, right? Jerusalem was ransacked by the Romans, and when they ransacked our culture was, or our people were overthrown by the Romans, and we were forced to conform to their way of being. And part of what they did, like I said, was push homosexuality on everybody. That's why the arenas was filled with naked men fighting each other, because it was based on a very, very gay society. All right. Give me the Fourth Council of Nicaea, and particularly Constantinople, where he established the Christian church, but didn't really believe in it. It should be like in maybe the second or third paragraph there. Mm-hmm.
So history records, Salakia. History records that Constantine became the first Christian emperor of Rome,
Mm-hmm.
or history records that Constantine became the first Christian emperor of Rome and played a major role in converting the pagan Roman Empire to Christianity.
Okay.
This is actually true. The religion of Christianity was actually created by the Roman emperor and high priest of Apollo.
Right? So Constantine and Apollo created Christianity.
Okay.
Keep going.
This religion created by Constantine was nothing new. It was the exact same religious system dating back to Babylon.
Dating back to where?
To Babylon.
Dating back to Babylon. Go ahead.
And the same religion Constantine worshiped before and until his death.
So what they did was, not to go too far off, that's part of what I wanted to bring out anyway. What they did was they morphed the worship of Nimrod, right, into Christianity, what they call Christianity. So really, he was telling you that this was a religion, based on the worship of Christ and the Most High Power. He was telling you that on the surface, but the integrity of the religion was based on ancient Nimrod. Nimrod's worship. All right, keep reading.
Constantine's religion was called the cult of Sol Invictus.
The what?
The cult of Sol Invictus.
Go ahead.
Which means the cult of the invincible sun.
Go ahead.
Constantine was a sun worship, as the religion of Babylon was literally transplanted to Rome.
So hold on, don't roll over that too fast, right? Read that last line again.
Constantine was a sun worshiper, as the religion of Babylon.
As was the religion of Babylon,
which was literally
based on the worship of the sun. Go ahead.
Which was literally transplanted to Rome.
So what Constantine did, although he told you it was Christianity, he really transplanted all the worship that the ancient Babylonians partook in into modern Roman society. And this is the same society that conquered Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian people, that put us in chains, that murdered our king, right, and came up with Christianity. All right, keep going.
This Roman religion is known as the cult of Sol Invictus, or the cult of the invincible sun. The cult of Sol Invictus dates back to Babylonian religion created by Semiramis, defined in the book Mystery Babylon.
Okay, keep going.
History records the religion of Christianity was actually created by the Roman emperor and high priest of Apollo. This religion created by Constantine was nothing new. It was the exact same religion system dating back to Babylon, and the same religion Constantine worshipped before and until his death, sun worship.
That's right.
Christians today, Salakia. Constantine was a follower of Christos Mithra, whose followers were known as Christians. It was identical in every way to the worship of stars, sun, moon, planets that originated in Babylon. Christians today claim that God came to Constantine in a vision of a cross, and Constantine converted to a servant of Jesus Christ.
Right, so the cross that they wear in Christianity, right? This individual, he had saw, he looked up, you can look in the clouds and get all kind of images from the clouds and the rays of the sun, and based on the position of the earth, you can look up there and see all kind of things. This guy right here looked up in the sky and saw some image of a cross, right? And for him, that was some, awakening, some feeling of godliness that he took from seeing that image in the sky. Right? Keep going. And that's the reason why Christians wear the cross around their neck. Right? We wouldn't dare wear, we wouldn't dare wear caskets around our neck, as a sign of divinity. You know what I'm saying? We wouldn't say this casket represents, somebody shoot my brother and he's in the ground. I wouldn't wear a casket to celebrate him. You know what I'm saying? No more than I would wear a noose around my neck that represent some holiness, you know, or you know, like Death Row Records when they wore the electric chair around their neck. You know, that wasn't a sign of godliness. That was a sign that said we will kill your ass and put you in the ground. You know what I mean? That represented some, you know, some torture chamber. You know, not something connected with the Most High. All right, keep going.
Actually, Constantine just renamed Tammuz, Apollo, and Mithra to Jesus
Mm-hmm.
and
So
converted
so he gave these was these gods?
Column.
These was gods that had existed in you know, in ancient religion that he had gave a different name to, and that name was what?
Tammuz,
Uh huh.
Apollo,
Uh huh.
and Mithra,
Keep going.
and converted the world to his existing religion as history proves.
But you mentioned Jesus, right?
He named Mithra, he changed, so like I'll just read it from the top.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, Constantine just renamed Tammuz, Apollo, and Mithra to Jesus.
That's right. So what he did was he took these gods, like I said, uh, uh, Christianity is really the worship of the ancient Babylonian religion.
Yeah, right.
And what he did, instead of telling you that you were worshiping something that came from, you know, the worship of the sun and Nimrod and what he represented, instead of him telling you that, he just changed the name of it and told you that you was following something pertaining to that man that gave his life on the cross, which was a lie. All right. So when you think Christianity, don't think anything pertaining to Hamashiach Yahushua or
Yeah, right.
you know who we call Jesus Christ. It had nothing to do with him. Everything to do with the worship of an ancient religion that they worshipped in Nimrod's day. All right, keep going.
Column. As the legend goes, Constantine was on his knees worshiping the sun facing east,
Mm-hmm.
as sun worshippers do, and saw a vision of the cross of Tammuz,
Go ahead.
and was told, in this side conquer, conquering humanity through force and
So what happened in the era where they convinced the world, largely the world, to become Christians? What did they do? What did they call them? The Christian Crusaders. What did they go throughout the earth and do? Right? They would come into your land with great forces, send ambassadors to your kingdom's doorstep, and then demand to see your king, and then offer your king a treaty, so to speak. If you would conform to Christianity, we would let you guys keep your land and your women and everything that you have. But you have to drop your religion and conform to this cross right here, right? And in these negotiations, some of the societies said, well, we can call it whatever you want to call it, but let us keep our day, right? That's how you get like the Christmas caroling, right? Christmas caroling was a Roman, I believe it was Roman based, and what they did was pull up Christmas, the origin of Christmas caroling, all right? And what these individuals would do, they would suspend the law, right? They would suspend the law at that particular time, and individuals would get together in little groups and walk the streets butt naked, men and women, right? And the mistletoe was used as a prop to let the individual know that you wanted to have sex with him, right? So if you wanted to have sex with a man, you just put the mistletoe over his head, and if he wanted you, y'all would have this homosexual lust go right on the spot in the middle of the street. That's where you get your Christmas caroling from. So these societies that would have these crusaders knock at their door, right, and demand that the society conform to Catholicism, would negotiate whether or not we would bring in certain aspects of their culture. And some of it was suspending the law, and you would be able to go out and rape and rob and pillage and have sex, whatever you want to have sex with, and nobody would hold you accountable for it for 24 hours, right? And some of the movies that they got out right now is based on that ancient tradition of suspending the laws. I forget the name of it, and going out and being some immoral bastard. Go ahead.
The purge.
The Purge, exactly. It's based off that ancient Roman culture of suspending the law and going out and doing whatever the hell you wanted to do. Largely, it was about being a homosexual and raping. You know what I'm saying? That's what it was really about. So that's how you get these different uh, 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 you know like Christmas. What is these different days of worship in American society, in American culture? Because it comes from the pockets of society that the Roman Catholics went into and forced them people to bow down to that cross. So Constantine, seeing that cross, created the Crusaders, who went throughout the earth and demanded that these societies give up their religion and conform to Christianity. They negotiated, and some of their paganisms were accepted in Roman Catholicism. And right now, Negroes, Hispanic, and Native Indian people worship them all, which was the wider reason why all of these religions was created in the first place, is to get the children of Israel to conform to something that was not written as something that we should actually worship. All right? Give me a little bit more.
Come, do you want the Christmas carols I want?
Come, give me that.
Okay. This is from the website whitechristmas.com, the history of Christmas carols. Carols were first sung in Europe thousands of years ago, but these were not Christmas carols. They were pagan songs sung at the winter solstice celebrations as people danced around stone circles.
Do we mention them being naked? Go ahead.
No, this doesn't mention them being naked.
Okay, that might not be the one that I want then. Keep going.
The winter solstice is the shortest day of the year, usually.
Right, see, it's gonna skip that part. See, that's probably a website that wants you to believe in Christmas. All right, give me, you can find another one if you can. But let's go on. Let's move on. If you can't find that, that'd be nice to pull that up. But I believe if you go to Pat Robinson on Christmas, he breaks it down as well. That devil breaks it down and tell you exactly the origins of Christmas caroling and giving out gifts, etc. But give me Romans the 12th chapter. No, Slack, give me Ephesians the 6th chapter first. If you got it, you can play it.
Okay, I need to put it into this so it can go out.
Okay, well somebody grab me Romans, what was that, Ephesians 6 and what?
Ephesians 6 and 12.
You give me Ephesians 6 and 12, read that please.
Ephesians 6 and 12. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places.
That's right. A student in the back, give me, what is he saying right here? Give me, read that one more time. We wrestle not against flesh and blood.
Ephesians 6 and 12. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities.
Stop right there. We wrestle not against flesh and blood, right? But against principalities. What does that mean?
We don't necessarily wrestle with the physical man or the physical opposition, but the spirit behind that opposition, or the power behind that opposition.
What's a principality? That's the first thing you need to do is look up what principality means. Because the Christmas spirit is would you call that a spiritual wickedness? Right? would you call Christmas a spiritual wickedness? You would. All right. So we wrestle not against flesh and blood, which caused to mind the individual that was in Jersey that shot up all of those people. He didn't accomplish shit by that. Like in this class right now, we're gonna have 100 or so people participate in this class and learn that Christmas started from the worship of a Babylonian religion and Nimrod. And some Constantine who saw a vision of a cross in the sky. Right? We learned that today. That's better, far greater of a accomplishment than me picking up a gun and going killing, people that don't even know what the hell is going on and why I'm killing them in the first damn place. So we wrestle not against flesh and blood. We ain't picking up no gun and killing nobody. Our battle is breaking down the Bible and destroying these strongholds that they have on our people spiritually. Chiefly among them is the Christmas spirit, man. That's our fight right there. That's our plight. All right, go ahead.
I got that definition too.
Please.
Principalities, a state ruled by a prince, usually a relatively small state or a state that falls within a large state, such as an empire.
Exactly. So we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against, read it again, spiritual wickedness.
There was more too.
Please, yeah, of course there's more.
The position or authority of a prince or chief ruler, sovereignty, supreme power, the rule of a prince.
So we're talking about, hold it right there, we're talking about Constantine. We're talking about his motivation to push Christianity throughout the earth. All right, started from, first of all, he loved the ancient religion that they practiced in Babylon, largely centered around the worship of the sun. Right, he loved that thing right there, and he was not into Christ at all. Even the proof is that the proof that he wasn't into Christ is the vision that he saw and what he attributed that vision to. It wasn't to boost up Christ, right? Rather, it was to push murder and pillage and the destruction of people throughout the earth. The Christian crusaders will come into your land and show you that cross and give you an ultimatum. Either you bow down to this cross or we cut your goddamn heads off, rape your women, and slaughter all your sons. Right? And like I'm saying, in that negotiation, they would accept some of the paganisms of those particular cultures that they had overthrown. Right? So the spiritual wickedness is this individual, this prince, Constantine, and his cohorts, that even today in their death, they have been successful in putting together this religion called Christianity, because largely blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indian people worship under that thing and don't know that they're worshiping the sun and a man named Nimrod. You see that? So we wrestle not against flesh and blood, right, but against these individuals that have established Christianity and that have our people largely worshiping it to this day. All right? Go ahead.
I was gonna say, this is so, what you're saying is heavy because people, they don't want to stop celebrating it, and then you got some people that know better, and they still, you know what I'm saying? So it's real wicked.
So you're absolutely right. So our fight as priests and prophets of the Most High is to get these messages out there, which does a far greater service than us picking up a gun and going and killing somebody. You see the point? That's why the Lord put that in there, man. Your fight is not, against some individual that called you a nigger at the store. You know what I'm saying? We get called, we get spit on, they throw water and rocks at us, man, all day, every day, man, when we at camp. But then they kiss our boots. That's our fight right there. Is to destroy these strongholds that they have on the minds of everybody as it relates to who black, Hispanic, and Native Indian people are. You got more for me, Michelle?
Come, got that Pat Robinson video ready.
Let's play that real quick.
Come.
December 25th is really a pagan holiday. While I agree that Jesus may not have been born on December 25th, he certainly was born as described in the Bible. How do I respond to that?
I get it.
Well, in a sense, tell them they're right.
I get it.
You see, the winter solstice a couple days later was the shortest day of the year, and the pagans had something called Saturnalia, and it was a time of lawlessness because all the laws were suspended, and people, a bunch of sinners were actually wandering the streets naked, singing, and then they had orgies, sexual orgies.
Hold on, did he say they was?
Mass thing.
Now this guy right
The
here.
Catholic Church came
Pause it
along
for a
in
second.
Italy. The Romans, others didn't want to give up their holidays, so they said, okay, we'll Christianize it. And
You hear what he just said? The Romans didn't want to give up their holidays. So he said, well, we'll Christianize it. Meaning we'll just put a stamp of approval on it. You know what I'm saying? And you know, if we put a stamp of approval on it, everybody gonna do what we tell them to do anyway.
That's right.
Right? They didn't want to give up running around the street naked and having sex. Who want to give up their good thing?
Right.
Slovakia. Who want to give up the one day of the year you can get some tail? You some fat slob, you know what I'm saying, that don't nobody want to have nothing to do with. Right? Would you want to give that up? Hell no. So they were not willing to give up that part of their culture. And he said, okay, well, you know, since y'all believe so strongly in it, we'll Christianize it. We'll put Christ's name on the top of it. And just because we put Christ's name on the top of it, that means Christ would approve it. Who the hell got that authority? Find me, one of you students, find me the scripture where it says it's not what comes out of man that defile him. I mean, it's not what goes into a man that defile him, rather what comes out. I believe it's in Matthew 24 or 25. It's not what goes into the man that defile him, but what comes out that defile the man. So he breaking it down finally. Now this bastard, right? If you know who he is, he was one of the founders of Christian talk television. Pat Robertson. He been doing it. Is that bastard there yet?
Wow.
He's still doing it.
Still doing it.
He was doing it when I was a little guy, man. My grandmother used to watch him religiously, man, every goddamn Sunday. And for him to say, I bet you that video got 1 million damn views. For him to say this right here, finally admit that Christmas caroling was about walking around the streets naked and having orgies. Man, rewind it just a tad bit so the people can hear it again. They might have missed it. Go ahead, please play.
had something called Saturnalia.
Uh-huh.
And it was a time of lawlessness because all the laws were suspended. And people, a bunch of singers were actually wandering the streets naked, singing. And then they had orgies, sexual orgies. It was a mass thing. Well, when the Catholic Church came along in Italy, the Romans and others didn't want to give up their holidays, so they said, okay, we'll Christianize it. And so they said, okay, we'll say the birth of Jesus was the 25th of December.
Which that was Nimrod's birthday.
And then
Pause.
a
Pause
monk
right
who
there.
began to add.
So he said the Romans and others, did you get that part? The Romans and others didn't want to give up their religion. So they said, oh, we'll just what? Christianize it, meaning what? Put Jesus Christ's name on the top of it. We'll claim that Christ approved this, which is what they're doing right now today. They're telling you that Christmas is about Christ. It don't got nothing to do with Christ, man. Go ahead, Bruce.
That's where they come from with that nonsense. The reason for the season.
The reason for the season.
The reason for the season.
The reason for the season is to fool you niggas, man. You savages and you spicks.
That's right.
And they've been largely successful, man. They've been wholly successful in fooling our people into believing that Christ would approve of this thing right here. Man, Christ is disgusted by Christmas and Christmas caroling and your New Year's celebration and all these other religions wrapped up in the name of Christ. He's disgusted by it, man. And all of us should be disgusted by it as well. This is the age of information. The priests and the prophets are on the earth right now, and we giving you as it is written according to the Most High in Christ, man. All right. let's get some more on that.
Come on, come
If you read in Luke, it says there's a census taken when Quirinius was governor and so forth and so on.
So now we're talking about the birth of Christ.
They could take those leaders and figure the exact time dating from the foundation of Rome. And that's when the dates were established. And so they get pretty close to the date. But to say it's the 25th, shepherds were out abiding in the field.
Say it's the 25th of December.
Really out there in the middle of winter, you know, I don't know. I've been out there in the shepherd's field on Christmas Eve. It's very nice, but it's cold. Nevertheless, I mean, what was going on? So all this business of a mistletoe, paint.
if Bob Kashaf, if I could, that's standard Edomite speak. Instead of just saying, ain't no way in hell.
That's right. Ain't no way in hell.
That no shepherd's gonna be out in the middle of goddamn winter.
Right.
At night, cause in desert areas, what happens? It get twice as cold at night. They're not gonna be out there.
No.
He don't say that. What he said, well, well, baby, that's standard Edomite speaking. Instead of telling you a lie.
Same thing that the Indians said about that bastard. He speak like a snake. You know, I give him credit, but as you're saying right now, he's still trying to sugarcoat it. You know what I'm saying? Keep going.
Pagan. Christmas trees, pagan. Giving out gifts, pagan.
Hold on. Giving out gifts, pagan. He finally admits it, man. After 100 years on the radio.
But it's cold. And nevertheless, I mean, what was going on? So, all this business of a mistletoe, pagan. Christmas trees, pagan. Giving out gifts, pagan. Every bit of it is pagan. Every single bit of it is pagan. We've Christianized it all.
There you go.
What he mean is when he say we've Christianized it all, we've lied to you and told you that Christ approved it, and he didn't. Because the average person believed that, you know, that these celebrations that we partake in is associated with Christ from the beginning, that they are in the Bible. The average person believed that this pagan worship is in the Bible when it's really not. All right, give me, let's go back to Ephesians 6. So, and I'd like to emphasize what our fight is, and then we're gonna move on. You know, because this is our fight right here, where you believe in Thanksgiving and Christmas, man, where Thanksgiving represents the death of 99 million of our brothers and sisters. And throughout the black community, what are we famous for? I got Indian in my blood. I got Native American in my blood. My grandmama was 50% Cherokee. Right? We famous for that in black culture, claiming to be Native Indians, right? But would you celebrate the day that they murdered your grandfather as some holy day? Hell no. Would you celebrate what they celebrate if they came in and killed your people? Hell no, you wouldn't do that. You wouldn't do that at all. So for me, it's so goddamn fundamentally ridiculous to even entertain somebody justifying why we should celebrate Christmas and Thanksgiving and any holiday associated with America, like New Year's or President's Day or Memorial Day. Why should we celebrate these days, man, that our oppressor, hollow in his heart? When really, when you get down into the depths of what these celebrations really represent, it's your demise. It's a thing that was an atrocity that was committed against a black person or black people, Hispanic people or Native Indian people, or all of us collectively. Why in the hell should we celebrate what he celebrated on our oppressor? And the only reason why we would celebrate what he celebrate is we've been destroyed. That's what the Lord said in Deuteronomy, that you're gonna follow this man and do what he do until you be destroyed. That he's gonna keep a yoke of iron around your neck until you be destroyed. And then once you're destroyed, once you're fully indoctrinated in Christianity, guess what he can do then? He can take the chains off your neck, because now he got them in your brain. He got them around your goddamn head. Right? He got the chains. He got the chains around you. You want to get on there? He got the chains around your neck. You know what I'm saying? So one more time, give me that in Ephesians 6. Where did the student go? Somebody watching up for me. You don't have to security check on it.
For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities.
But against principalities, these individuals like Constantine and his cohorts. Go ahead.
Against powers.
Against what?
Powers.
Go ahead.
Against the rulers of the darkness of the world.
The rulers of the darkness of this world. What does that mean? Break that down. What is the rulers of the darkness of this world? It sounds like some Count Dracula. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It sounds like some Freddy Krueger or some Jason Voorhees, man. But read it one more time and then you answer for me.
For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, against the principalities.
Hold on, read it one more time. Read every word that's there.
But against the principalities, against the powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world.
That's what that sounds like to me.
Right.
Go ahead.
Against spiritual wickedness.
So now break down the darkness of this world. What is that talking about?
Are they referring to like the people who passed laws for gay marriages and like that?
No, give me darkness though. What does the darkness mean? Why do we light these candles right here? What does the candlestick represent? What does the seven branches on this candlestick represent? And why do we light them? That's the answer to the question.
Do they represent the 7 churches?
They do. And when Paul came on the scene, you know, what was the 7 churches? What was those churches in those particular areas? What did they push as a doctrine? What were they doing? Were they enlightened or were they in darkness? Were they following it according to Christ and what's written in the Bible, or were they off?
I think a lot of them was off.
Not a lot of them. Every single last one of them was off. And if you're off, the light switch is off, means what?
Right.
You living in what?
Dark.
And then Paul came and did what? He lit every last one of those candles. All right, and enlightened those individuals. That's why we light that candle, because that means, as opposed to being in darkness, now you're enlightened. You're in the knowledge. You understand what it means to be an Israelite and what your responsibilities are on the earth. All right? So read that one more time, that little sentence right there.
Against the rulers of the darkness of this world.
So that's what our fight is. It's against the rulers of the darkness of this world. And how do we fight at Donald Trump? Do we pick up some guns and go and shoot up his motor brigade? Do we throw grenades at him or make pipe bombs? Hell no, man. Get them out of here, man. You dummy. You dumbass. Is that what we do? No. How do we make more of an impact by doing what? Go ahead.
Taking our spirit out of this place.
That's right. But you and I, as priests and prophets of the Most High, what's our responsibility?
To teach.
It's to enlighten the world.
Come.
You see what I'm saying? To bring them out of that darkness that's spoken of in Ephesians. Because right now, largely, Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian people live in darkness, man, celebrating Christianity. Celebrating Thanksgiving, being Catholics and Muslims and Protestants and Baptists. Man, we ain't no goddamn religion, man. We are a people, man, that's full of light.
That's right.
Period. We are enlightened. We understand what Christ required of us. All right? Keep going.
Against spiritual wickedness.
Against what?
Spiritual wickedness.
The spiritual wickedness is what? Christmas is the day that Christ was born, so you should worship it. You should celebrate that day, right? Christmas, somehow, right, we can go into how the Christmas tree is wrapped up in Christmas. You can go into Jeremiah, the 10th chapter, and you're going to see that there was a religion, there was a practice that was celebrated well before the birth of Christ. Right. Give me Jeremiah 10 real quick. We're going to run through that. I know a lot of people not up on it, but the majority of us are. But just for the sake of those that, the one person out there that don't know this is in the Bible, we're going to read it for you real quick. Jeremiah 10, please.
Come. You want to start the first verse of 1?
Mm-hmm.
Jeremiah 10, verse 1. Hear ye the word which the Lord speaketh unto you, O house of Israel.
Hold on, the Lord talking to who?
O house of Israel.
He's talking to the Chinese too, right?
O house of Israel.
Arabs?
O house of Israel.
He's talking to the white man?
O house of
The
Israel.
Most High is specifically talking to Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian people, to the Israelites.
Right.
Go ahead.
Come. Thus saith the Lord, learn not the way of the heathen,
Go ahead.
and be not dismayed at the signs of heaven.
At the stars, the constellations in the sky. Go ahead.
For the heathen are dismayed at them.
Don't be afraid of that thing. It has no power to do anything to you.
Right.
Even though that woman, man, like you said before her, and she pulled out those cards, and she was largely on point when she read you your horoscope.
Right.
I know some of y'all read that thing today and be like, damn, that's me. You know what I mean? But what she know is there's a group of algorithms, right, that pertain to all people. And that she can talk about particular things and all of us, because our experience is similar, she gonna be on point. Which is witchcraft. That's all. She's just a goddamn witch.
Right.
Be not dismayed at this woman that's telling you about the constellations and the stars, right? On your birthday. Go ahead.
Verse 3. For the customs of the people are vain.
They mean nothing, man. They empty. Keep going.
For one cutteth a tree out of the forest.
Which is what they do. Like back in the day, you used to have to go to a woodsman, and he would cut you a particular tree. Right? He'd go in the forest and cut the tree. Now you get a manufactured tree that's largely synthetic material, and it's not the same. But when the Most High, required this to be put in the Bible, they was chopping down trees, right, and selling them to the people. Keep going.
The work of the hands of a workman with an axe.
This woodsman, he go in the forest and he chopped this tree down for you. Go ahead.
Verse 4. They deck it with silver and with gold.
It decked the halls with bounds
House of
of holly. Fa la 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 la. Right. So they decking it with gold and silver. All of our Christmas trees had that wrapping of gold, then silver, then the gold and silver balls. You know what I'm saying? We had all of that on our Christmas tree. The damn the little string glimmer you throw in that joint. We used to string popcorn together and wrap that motherfucker up, to make it even more beautiful. We worship that tree, man. We worship that goddamn tree. And then, you know what the kicker is? What I realized when I came into the Israelite School at UPK, Commander General Yohana broke down for me. Every Christmas morning, you know what your kids do? After you done celebrated that tree and made it so pretty and made it stand so goddamn perfect. What your kids do the very next morning? Go ahead.
You give credit to Santa Claus.
That's true. That's true. But what else that your kids do?
Bow down to it.
Man, they go. The gifts are up under the tree. So the first thing they do is bow down. You got your kids, man, bowing down to Baal. You see what I'm saying? Worshiping that thing. First thing they do, they get on their knees like this, grabbing goddamn gifts on their knees. So the white man, our oppressor, is so diabolical in his he's been so deceitful in how he's forced us to serve another God, unbeknownst to us, man. He's been so crafty in how he's done it. Because if you told niggas you worshiping that tree, what niggas gonna do? Oh, nigga, fuck that tree. I ain't never touching that tree again.
Right.
Because we are spiritual people, man. You know what I'm saying? Largely, Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian people believe in the Most High. We are not atheists. We believe in the God. And that's in the Bible. I bear witness that they have the zeal of the Most High, but not according to knowledge. That's in the Bible. If they told us, man, this was ancient Babylon, right? And that presents are pagan, mistletoe is pagan, erecting that tree is pagan,
Right.
celebrating your birthday is pagan. It ain't got nothing to do with the Bible, really, but we do it because we like the celebration. Had they told niggas that, you know what we would do? Oh, man, we don't want nothing to do with that thing. That lets you know, because all the other people on the earth understand that these religions are pagan.
Right.
That lets you know that it was really a religion created to fool the children of Israel, because Constantine himself said he didn't believe in Christ.
No.
He worshiped Nimrod. So why then are we saying that this is about Christ?
Right.
It's to fool you niggas and you spicks and you savages, man. Period. They told us that thing was paganism. We wouldn't have, grandma wouldn't have nothing to do with it.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? She'd be going to the Passover.
Right.
Grandma would be going to the Passover had they not pushed that on her as if it was the representation of Christ.
Right.
All right? Where was we at? Where was Ephesians?
Jeremiah 10.
No, Slaughter. Keep reading Jeremiah.
Come on. They deck it with silver and with gold.
Uh-huh.
They fasten it with nails and with hammers,
Uh-huh.
that it move not.
Man, meaning they care for this tree. Oh my God, they love it. They you know, it's a beautiful thing. Because this tree represents somehow, it got something to do with Christ. And anything to do with Christ, our people want to do what care for is so. You know what I'm saying? We want to trim it and stand it up right, man, and put lights and glimmer and gold on it, man. This is about Christ right here. Let's give everything to this tree, including our rent and our mortgage money, our car note. Let's give all of that. Come on, man. This is about Christ. Let's give it all to Christ, right? That's the spirit of Christmas, along with the homosexuality, right, and the lawlessness. You can't just have that without the other stuff that we're reading about.
Right.
Give me now. How much time we got? 50 minutes. Okay, give me let me show you the other aspect of the spirit of Christ. We already broke down and largely, let's give a hand to Pat Robertson. Pat Robertson told us that this was about sex, the Christmas carols. So let me show you now what America really wants to do to Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian people. Give me that. Give me those things that I told you to run off. Play that real quick. First of all, give me the scripture where it says in Revelations, Sodom and Egypt.
We want to go to Revelations 11, starting at verse 8.
Revelations 11. Somebody grab that for me real quick. Revelations 11. Start at verse 8. Read for me.
And their dead bodies shall lie in the street of the great city.
Slocky, give me verse 7 then.
And when they shall have finished their testimony, the beast that ascendeth out of the bottomless pit shall make war against them and shall overcome them and
the beast
kill
that
them.
ascended out of the bottomless pit was who? Who know that? And I'll give you some hell of a kudos if you know who that beast was. The beast that ascended out the bottomless pit. Go ahead.
Esau.
Well, of course it's Esau. But give me what we're talking about. The beast that ascended out the bottomless pit. Give me a verse above that.
These have the power to shut heaven, that it not rain, not in the days of their prophecy.
What verse is that?
Verse 6.
Is it 1,000 years spoken of in that same chapter? Give me that's verse what?
That was verse 6.
Give me verse 1.
Verse 1. And there was given me a reed like unto a rod, and the angel stood saying, Rise and measure the temple of God and the altar and them that worship therein.
Mm-hmm.
But the court which is without the temple leave out, and measure it not, for it is given unto the Gentiles, and the holy city shall they tread under foot 42 months.
Mm-hmm.
And I will give power unto my 2 witnesses, and they shall prophesy 1,260 days, clothed in sackcloth.
Mm-hmm.
These are the 2 olive trees and the 2 candlesticks standing before the God of earth.
Hold on for a second. Let me find what I'm looking for. You got that?
Revelations 22.
Give me that real quick.
I'm going to start with verse 1. Revelations 20, verse 1. And I saw another angel come down from heaven having the key of the bottomless pit.
Slocky, go back to where we were at.
Revelation 6.
Yeah, read verse. Start from verse 5.
Revelations 11.
Mm-hmm.
Revelation 11 and 5. If any man will hurt them, fire proceedeth out of their mouths and devoureth their enemies. And if any man will hurt them, he must in this manner be killed. These have the power to shut heaven, that it not rain in the days of their prophecy, and have the power.
What verses did I ask you to grab?
11 and 8.
11 and 8. Go. You were at verse what?
I'm in 6 right now.
All right, give me verse 7. Slocky.
And when they have finished their testimonies, the beast that is sent out of the bottomless pit shall make war against them.
But who was the beast that was put in the bottomless pit? Who know that? What is this beast that was put in the bottomless pit? Go ahead.
The children of Israel.
Nah. The children of Israel is not a beast. Represents what? The children of Israel always represent what in the Bible? Sheep. So you have the sheep, which is a what? A prey animal. Right. It's an animal of prey, right? And the beast, of course, would be an animal that would devour the sheep, right? So this beast that was put into the bottomless pit, I forgot where it was, Slocky. My bad, I'll find that, where he was cast into the bottomless pit. You got it?
Come.
Give me that real quick.
Revelations chapter 20, verse 2. And he laid hold on the dragon, that old serpent, which is the devil and Satan, and bound him 1,000 years.
That's the one I'm looking for right there. Go ahead.
And cast him into the bottomless pit.
For 1,000 years he was cast into that bottomless pit. Now go back to, and what 1,000 years are we talking about? That's what I want to give you credit for, student. Go ahead.
The Dark Ages.
That's correct. That's correct. I'll get that brother a hand. So he was cast into the bottomless pit during the Dark Ages, right? When blacks ruled Rome and Europe for that 1,000 years, man. And at some point, we had overthrown all of this mess that they're pushing out there in the earth right now. This garbage, this darkness. And we cast it into the bottomless pit. But then they regained power, and that's what we're talking about in Revelations 11. So go back to Revelations 11 and 6. Go ahead.
And when they had finished their, Salaki, so you said verse 6.
Was it 6?
I was at
8. He was at 7, but he was.
Read 7, Salaki.
And when they have.
Read 7 and 8.
Verse 7. And when they shall have finished their testimony, the beast that ascendeth out of the bottomless pit shall make war against them, and shall overcome them.
So what's the war? Let's bring it all home. What's the war that this beast pushed on the children of Israel after his 1,000 years in the pit? Go ahead, student.
The crusade.
That's right, man. He went around the earth and and mass a spiritual war on the children of Israel by creating Christianity, creating Thanksgiving and Easter bunnies and Easter eggs and everything that we worship right now. Going back to what? Ephesians, right? The 6th chapter. Our fight is not battling him physically.
Right.
It's taking back our ownership of what Christ really brought to the earth. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
I hope you all following me, man. After he come out that goddamn pit, man, he said, okay, I got to fight him another way. I got to come up against these people another way. I got to take from them their culture. I got to take from them their religion. I got to take from them their language. I got to take from them any way back to the Most High.
That's right.
That's what he has been largely successful of doing to the Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian people.
Right.
He's taken our way back. And the only way that we come back, I'll give you more credit if you can answer that question. How do we come back? Because the Lord said, till we be destroyed. There will be a yoke around our neck until we are destroyed. What is the destruction of a man? Well, he don't know his religion, his name, his culture, his land, his God. That's the destruction of a man.
Right.
So, what's our only way back? I'll give you credit for that, priest, if you can answer. Go ahead.
Keeping the law, statutes, and commandments.
That's it. That's it. But bring me, how do you know to keep the law, statutes, and commandments? How would you even know that? Because remember, we destroyed now.
Right.
We don't, nobody know what our culture and our language was. Why do we know it now? I'm giving you too much. Go ahead, Susan.
Would it be 1 Kings 8:47?
Read it.
Yet if they shall bethink themselves in the land whither they were carried captives, and repent and make supplication unto
That's one of my favorite breakdowns right there. And I'm going to let you finish reading it. Go ahead, so I can.
and make supplication unto thee in the land of them that carried them captives, saying, we have sinned and have done perverse.
Now, I want to ask you a question. How would we know to do that if we were destroyed? That's talking about, and I'm not saying that doesn't apply right now, but what I'm saying is that era right there was talking about where, that's 1 Kings, that's in King David's era, where the one kingdom had, one side of Israel went into Syria in captivity, I believe that's correct. And they started worshiping the other gods. But they knew the God that that they had made a covenant with. They were never robbed of their language and their religion, their culture, all of that. They still knew they were Israelites, even though they were worshiping paganisms. So the Lord is saying in that era, if they bethink themselves and come back to me, then I'm gonna be their power again. But think about where we are right now. We don't know. None of us knew.
Right.
So how in the hell do we wake up? Go ahead.
You gotta become brand new.
But how? Would you know to become brand new when Constantine was so largely successful in destroying your ass?
You gotta be taught by a certified man, a man of God.
Okay, that's more on it right there. That the Lord said that he had fashioned us from the womb. So the only way back is to listen to the men right now that are the foremost authority on the Bible.
That's right.
Which Commander General raised up. You don't have no other choice. I don't care what sect you in right now. You're still going off our damn our breakdowns. You're still going off of the Israelite chart. You know that stem from one West.
That's right.
You see the point? All right, so let's go back. Where was we at? We were still in Revelations. Please read. Continue.
And they shall overcome them and kill them. And their dead bodies shall lie in the street of the great city.
Go ahead.
Which is spiritually is called Sodom and Egypt.
That's the part that I want right now. That our dead bodies will lay in the street of this place that's called spiritually Sodom. What does that mean, to be spiritually Sodom and spiritually Egypt? Think about let's go with spiritually Egypt first. Egypt is a Greek word that means what?
Bondage.
Captivity. So spiritually you are what? Enslaved. Because you worship what? Christmas, man. And you worship Thanksgiving and Easter bunnies, man. These people that conquered yours gave you a religion, and you like, yes, a master to this goddamn day, believing that you're somehow conscious. You know, believing that, you know, that the blood of Jesus and all this other crap that you say in Christian churches, man. But really, man, you spiritually enslaved. That's the name of this place right now, where our dead bodies line the streets every goddamn day is a black, Hispanic, or Native Indian person, or 2 or 3 of them, dead at the hands of our oppressor. So spiritually, Egypt, meaning you captive, man, in your mind. Because there's no more chains around our neck. Right? Now it's chains around our brain. And how do they control black, Hispanic, and Native Indian people who are largely a religious people, quote unquote, a religious people? How do you do that, Mashal?
Christianity.
Through Christianity, man. Through Christmas, through Thanksgiving and Easter. That's how you keep these people destroyed. That's the whole purpose, man, of Christianity, man. The man himself did not believe in Christ. The only reason why he came up with this, man, is because he had our records. They had deciphered our records at that point and saw the prophecies in it. So in order to finally put a destruction to the children of Israel, we got to separate them from the old way of what they did prior to slavery and put them on boats and put them in a whole different land and give them something else for 400 years, 200 years, 300 years. However long it take until they don't remember what they used to be. And now they're walking around the earth talking about their Christians and happy birthday and Thanksgiving and Halloween. Nothing to do with what? The Passover, right? The Feast of Hanukkah, man, the dedications, man, that represent how we overcame our enemies in the past. Black people don't even know that got something to do with them, man. We've been so goddamn destroyed. Before, I want to get a couple other scriptures out there because we're running short on time. Go ahead, if you can be quick with what you got to say. Go ahead.
I'm just going to ask the question, because you mentioned we're destroyed. We don't know nothing from the past.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the reason we don't see the Apocrypha included in the standard Bible that's put out?
That's absolutely right. All of it, man. Because the Apocrypha, if you read 2 Ezra 6 and 54, that just destroys your Christianity. You know, that tears your Christianity out the frame.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And there's many other, but that's one that come to mind. There's many other breakdowns, man. It also gives you the history of the Romans in there, man. You know what I'm saying? It gives you a lot of information on, you know, what these societies did, you know what I'm saying, in their heydays, man, to destroy black, Hispanic, and Native Indian people. That's why the Apocrypha is not in the Bible. I don't want you to know those things that's in there. All right. Give me, let's go to Romans 12. How many minutes I got left?
30 minutes.
30 minutes, Most High Christ. Give me Romans the 12th chapter real quick. Romans the 12th chapter, start at verse 1. Go ahead.
I beseech you, therefore, brethren,
This is Paul speaking, man. He said, I beseech you, therefore, brethren. Go ahead.
by the mercies of God,
By what?
the mercies of God,
Go ahead.
then you present your bodies a living sacrifice.
Now, this is what Paul is saying, man. Paul's saying, man, I'm talking to you right now, man. I'm with urgency, right? Grave importance that you do what?
Present your bodies.
Present your what?
Bodies.
Present your bodies. Go ahead.
A living sacrifice. Holy, acceptable.
That you present your bodies as a living sacrifice to the Most High. Holy meaning separate, and what else?
Acceptable.
And acceptable. How do you gauge whether or not your body is holy and acceptable to the Most High? Is, with me personally, anything that I do that's new, I always consult whether or not it's legal. I call up a man that's above me. Man, I want to get off into this right here. Is that too hard? He say, no, you can't do that no more. You know what I'm saying? Largely in my youth, I would have to do that. Now, it's in here.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Now I know, hell no, I ain't going to no goddamn Christmas party.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Hell no, man, I can't deal with no more Christmas food.
Right.
Even though I'm an Israelite, you know what I'm saying? And if I walked into any party that was celebrating Christmas and I ate the food, guess what? It wouldn't be no Christmas food for me.
Right.
But guess what I don't do? I don't yield those members to satisfy people that don't yield in return.
That's right.
To what we're doing up in here.
Damn right.
You come up in here enough times, and I don't care what you celebrate, you're gonna do what? Conform. Because you're gonna hear this message all the time. You're gonna hear these breakdowns, and you're gonna be like, damn, I've been doing this. No, I ain't doing that no more. And then slowly but surely, guess what you're gonna become? An Israelite. We had the feds ready to give us a boot kiss up in here, man. You think I'm playing? Feds came in here thinking that we about shooting up people? Nah. You know what, I went into the Bible and I showed them how disgusting the white man is for even having the audacity to walk up in my place. And he saw the same breakdown I'm giving right now. Man, we ain't trying to shoot y'all dummies.
Right.
You know, y'all got all the goddamn tanks and bombs and shit. Man, you obliterate us in the instant. But guess what you can't contend with us in? It's this Bible. And he said, what do you mean? Let me give you some of it. By the end of the goddamn 2 hours that they spent with me, one or two of them was ready to kiss the boots. I'm serious. One or two of them was ready to kiss the goddamn boots because they gave me time to speak. They gave me time to go through the precepts with their asses. And they Christians. That's the killer about it. They sent Christian FBI agents to our school. Oh my God, that was such a beautiful day for me. I love that day right there. Salaki for going off. But go ahead. Who was reading? Go ahead.
Living holy and acceptable unto God, which is your reasonable service.
Think about what he's saying. Paul is saying your reasonable service is to sacrifice your body to the Most High. That's reasonable. Why is it so reasonable? Because you were just so disgusting that he sent his son down here, man. The only perfect man that ever pleased the Most High. You know what I'm saying? The only perfect man ever to walk the planet Earth. He sent him down here, man, to give it all up, man, for your ass. So a reasonable sacrifice is to do what? Instead of me having to chop your goddamn head off for your iniquity, man, just go ahead and give it up, man. And give your life over to the Most High as a reasonable sacrifice. Ain't that reasonable? Given you made a covenant with me so many thousands of years ago, I'm asking you to sacrifice yourself now in the flesh while you still live.
Right.
Ain't that reasonable?
Right.
This is what Paul's saying. It's a reasonable thing that the Most High is requiring of every black, Hispanic, and Native Indian people because of what he sacrificed for you to still be able to be in his grace. It's very, very much so reasonable. Keep going.
And be not conformed to this world.
Hold on, read that 10 times. And be not conformed to this world. And be not conformed to this world. And be not conformed to this world. We'll read it 5 times. And be not conformed to this world. One more time.
And be not conformed to this world.
That's heavy right there. Because your Christmas is being in confirmation of this world. You put your stamp of approval in this earth when you erect that Christmas tree, sing your Christmas carols, give out gifts, hang up mistletoe. The Lord said, man, sacrifice your bodies, man. Ain't that reasonable? And be not conformed to this world, man, your Christmas and your Thanksgiving and your New Year's, man. Don't conform to those lies. Right? Don't conform to those lies, man. Keep going.
But be ye transformed.
Be ye what?
Transformed.
How do you transform a man? The only way to transform a man in this earth right now, because we've been robbed of everything. We destroyed. We believe in it wholeheartedly. The only way to transform a man is with men like Commanding General Yohana and General Muhammad. You know what I'm saying? General Mayab, General Haas, General Shah Mar, General Katham Gabar, and General Q. That's the only way to transform a man is through men like that, the apostles, man, that the Lord had erected in the earth to feed us. And we feed other men. That's the only way. Read it one more time.
And be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind.
And how do you renew your mind? It's by listening to brothers that not going to sing you a song and a goddamn dance.
Right.
They're going to go into the Bible, man, and show you what you missed in the Christian church.
Right.
We're going to open up the pages, and you ain't going to hear my philosophy.
Right.
You're going to hear what the Lord said. Be not conformed to this world. Give your body up as a living sacrifice, man. You know, and it's like you always got to bring this in because the sisters need a lot of help, man. I ain't saying the brothers don't. But sisters, man, when it say be conformed, be transformed, you can't believe in the Bible, but then believe that a man is only restricted to you,
Right.
that you own him because y'all lay down and have sex. You can't do that. Because you got kids by him, he belonged to you in some way, of course. But can he have another family? Well, not another family. It's all y'all belong to me, goddammit. Y'all all mine. You know, you got to get past that you know, that rod worship. That's what I call it. And you got to conform to the Lord, what the Most High require of you. Quit thinking about that joker so goddamn much and what it's doing when it ain't in your face. Quit thinking about it so goddamn much. And then focus in on what you should be thinking about your home and your kids, man. It's lucky. I hate that I come across so hard on the sisters so much I don't even think they like me in the school, man. It's lucky. You know what I'm saying? But you got to get off of that rod worship. And be conformed, man. That you know, ain't no skin peeling off that joint. It still does what it do.
Right. God on God.
Shit. Get off of that, man. Quit battling your sisters in the truth because she love your man and your mind better than you do. That's really what it's about. Or she younger, or she more you one West. Get off that shit. Because I guarantee you, ain't no man comparing his women. The only thing that he see is how evil you are to him, period. Or how much trouble you bring to him, period. It ain't no comparison. That shit, brother love everything the Lord give him.
That's right. That's right.
It's lucky. I ain't gonna go too far off. Let me finish this, priest, because we got a lot to go in Romans. Where were you at?
In the middle of verse 2.
Please.
That ye may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God.
Back up just a little bit.
And be not conformed to this world.
And the reason why you shouldn't be conformed to this world, or you can't be conformed to this world, is because what? Keep reading.
But be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind.
Because if you into this world, you're not transformed. You haven't renewed your mind.
Right.
If you arguing with me or with your man or with or against a priest about something that you learned in the world, and he telling you, man, this right here, that means you haven't been conformed. You haven't been renewed. You're still on that same old thing. Keep going.
That ye may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God.
And you proving to everybody that see you, man, what's acceptable. I know it's difficult. It's hard, man. It's very hard. But it's nothing on you no more that you can bear. Christ said, if you're not willing to carry my cross, or carry the cross, I'm sorry for paraphrasing, somebody find that for me real quick. You don't have, you stay right there, somebody else will find it. So we're talking about the burden, the suffering that one would go through in order to be conformed. It ain't an easy thing, man. It shouldn't be easy. Our king, man, got his ass beat. Got humiliated, man. Half naked, man, in the city square. Only perfect man to ever walk the earth, man. There's no wonder, like, the Most High was, man, listen. He set it by and allowed that to happen. I'd have rained fire and brimstone down on motherfuckers about mine.
Man.
You know what I'm saying? It been bombs dropping, all kind of shit coming out of Earth. I was disintegrated. You know what I'm saying? We ain't the Most High, man. He set and allowed that to happen. You know why? Because of his love for Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian people.
That's right.
He created a way for us to come back.
That's right.
You see what I'm saying? He created a way for us to come back. That's how much he loved us, like that comely and delicate woman, man. Like some bride of yours, man, that ain't never, you know, seen another man. And you come home and she giving it up to the neighbor. That's what we did to the Most High. And somehow we still managed to create a way for us to come back. I've been done with you niggas, man.
Right.
True. That's true.
I'll be done with you. I'll be done with you. Like, listen, bitch, you going off on me. Hey, I'll figure out a way to be done with your ass. You know what I'm saying? Keep going, priest.
For I say, through the grace given unto me.
What's the grace given unto him? Student, let's read the answer. What is grace?
The time to get it right.
That's correct. And Paul saying, listen, I'm taking full advantage of this grace given unto me, this dispensation of time. Christ is gone right now. So I know the clock is ticking. The clock is ticking. So I got X amount of time to get this shit right and do what the Lord requires of me. You see? Keep going.
To every man that is among you, not to think of himself more highly than he ought to think, but to think soberly.
And all of us, man, when we was in that world, man, we thought we was the shit.
Kind.
You got your little job, little money, man, you screwing a couple hoes. You know what I'm saying? Some of y'all big rims on the truck, big jewelry. You know, you going to the club, everybody know your name and shit, you know what I'm saying? Some of us was like that. Thinking that we so high when really we so minuscule. You know, that balling you thought you was doing, man, that ain't no goddamn balling. Donald Trump balling.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? These 666 individuals that can control the planet Earth, these people are balling.
That's right.
They don't step out the jet unless it's a red carpet, man.
Right.
From there to the limousine. They balling. You know what I'm saying? Where one night out for them is what you make in 10 years.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? They got around their neck, you know what I'm saying, or slock it. They got on their pinky finger.
Right.
Your whole life savings. You see what I'm saying? Them motherfuckers balling right there. Listen, they don't even have to pay for nothing. Just their name being mentioned in the place, get them, you know, status. Right? Keep going.
Not to think of himself more highly than he ought to think,
Right?
but to think soberly, according as God has dealt.
Don't be drunk off no one thing. I mean, to think soberly means like cause you know, you're doing one thing and you begin to think that one thing is everything that you are. You're so drunk off that thing. You know what I mean? To be sober, man, you know, keep going.
According as God hath dealt to every man with measure of faith.
Go ahead.
For as we have many members in one body.
What does that mean? For as we have many members in one body. Student, answer. As we have many members in one body. Go ahead.
Is that speaking about the body?
I want you to simplify it. Come on, go ahead. You was
Is that
correct.
speaking of ancestors?
No, Slocky. You was right with, with your first, what you just said.
The body of the UPK.
But when it says we have many members in one body, bring me home to what that's talking about. For as we have many members in one body, think about your body. Do you have more than one member there?
No.
Yeah, you do?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you do. Like brothers be thinking when they hear that one member, they be thinking about the one member.
Right.
And that's why we said, no, I ain't got no two members. I ain't even four. I I got one member. But Khan, that is one of your members though.
Right.
But you also have hands.
Right.
You all got arms and elbows and
Right.
muscles and a thigh, a tibia, and a fibia, and a kneecap, and all of these things do a particular function, right? They aid the one body. Because although they are separate members, including the one member, they all do a function for the body. So read that one more time.
For as we have many members in one body, and all members have not the same office.
They don't have the same office. The one member is for one thing.
Right.
Right? But your feet do the walking.
Right.
Your mouth do the talking.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Your hands grab and touch and hold and feel and caress, etc. Right? As we have many members in one body, go ahead.
So we, being many, are one body in Christ.
Do you see that? Even though all of us, this is a similitude, a parable, a metaphor, right? Although, like the brother here is head of security in Detroit. You see what I'm saying? I got a function in Detroit myself, right? Y'all will have functions real soon. This brother right here, he in the media department. You see what he doing up there? He's doing that damn thing. So although we many members, we still represent the one body. That's where all these other crackpot, really Christian religious guys that call themselves Israelites, that's where they effing up right there. Because if you're not under the banner of the Israelite School of UPK, man, you just another Christian. Based on this precept right here. Although we're many members, we still represent what? One body, one thought. You know what I'm saying? One baptism. You see what I'm saying? We represent one. Although the brother that head of security, the brother that a member of the media department, y'all two gonna have your own functions that's heavily laden in labor. You know what I'm saying? I have my own burdens, but I represent the truth. One West since 1969. Period. Keep going.
And every one members one of another, having then gifts differing according to the grace that is given to us.
Having what?
Gifts differing.
Having gifts differing according to the grace that have been what?
Given to us.
By the Most High. We got different gifts, man. You know what I'm saying? The head ain't the tail. You know, the feet ain't the hands. You know what I'm saying? I ain't Commander General Yohana. Commander General Yohana ain't me. You see what I'm saying? Keep going.
Whether prophecy,
whether being the chief prophet in the Israelite School of UPK, like Commander General Yohana, or what else?
Let us prophesy according to the portion of faith.
He prophesies according to the portion. We go to him for all the breakdowns in the Bible. Go ahead.
Or ministry.
Or doing what?
Ministry.
Or being a minister. You know what I mean? Like the one-on-one. We get it from the head, and then I disseminate it to the members in the school. Keep going.
Let us wait on our ministering.
Let us do what?
Wait on our ministry.
Let us what?
Wait on our ministry.
That's what the brothers doing right here. They waiting for their assignments. Keep going.
Or he that teaches on teaching.
On teaching. Go ahead.
Or he that exhorteth on exhortation.
Go ahead. Meaning like Commander General Yohana, he exhort, man. What he say, we do. Keep going.
He that giveth, let him do it with
Slakia. Christ is the king. Commander General Yohana takes his order from Christ. Keep going.
He that exhorteth on exhortation, he that giveth, let him do it with simplicity. He that ruleth with diligence, he that showeth mercy with cheerfulness.
That's right. Keep going.
Let love without dissimulation.
Let love without what?
Dissimulation.
Dissimulation, meaning let your love be consistent. Don't allow it to, drop and then pick back up, then drop and then pick back up. Man, love, man, period, man. Love your brothers and sisters, man. Right. Period. Even when they're your enemy, love them. Even when they're coming up against you, love them, man. Even when they have a misunderstanding about something you said or did, still love them. Keep going.
Abhor which is evil.
Abhor which is evil. Go ahead. Our oppressor. Abhor him, man. He's evil. Keep going.
Cleave to that which is good.
Cleave to that which is good. Keep going.
Be kindly affectionate one to another with brotherly love, and honoring, preferring one another.
What verse you at right now?
Verse 10.
Keep going. We're going to go all the way to verse 12.
Not slothful in business.
Not slothful in the business, man. That's one thing that I notice that some brothers do, man. They get slothful in some of their functions. And the Lord is saying that's a sin to be slothful. And your business dealing with the Israelite school of UPK. Keep going. You got something?
Well,
Go ahead.
I was gonna ask you, what does that mean?
Slothful, you know what a sloth is?
Like slow.
But do you know what a sloth is?
Like an animal.
It is. That slow monkey with the big claws. That walk like this. Right, it's very slow. So it's saying don't be like that slow monkey. It's crawling up to the top of the tree, but it's
Slow.
it's very slow. I wonder about that. Why that damn thing so damn slow? Well, go ahead.
Fervent in spirit.
Fervent in your spirit. Keep going.
Serving the Lord.
That's right. Keep going.
Rejoicing in hope. Patience in tribulation.
That's heavy right there. Patient in what?
Tribulation.
Patient in what?
Tribulation.
Patient in tribulation. What does that mean? What does patient in tribulation mean? Go ahead.
Being patient when you're going through.
Man,
your
get a brother a
trials.
hand, man. You on point. Meaning, when you're going through the most hell on the earth, man, don't be so quick to react. You know what I'm saying? Don't be so quick to do something. Be patient. You know what I'm saying? Because the answer gonna come to you. You're gonna get the understanding eventually. You see? Be patient in your tribulation. Don't be haste. Go ahead.
Continuing instant in prayer. 13. So that was in the 12.
Con, that was 12. Most High in Christ, man. With that, we're gonna turn the class over to priest. And you had another question? Go ahead.
I had that.
Please give it to
scripture
me.
you wanted.
Slock it. Go ahead.
Luke 9:23.
Come.
And he said to them all, if any man will come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross daily and follow me.
That's heavy, Slocky. I didn't mean to forget that one right there. So the cross is the things that you would suffer, right, in this truth. The things that you would suffer in this truth is you enduring what Christ endured when he had to carry his own goddamn death sentence up to that hill. If you're not willing to bear the cross, right, then you're not worthy of the kingdom. You got to go through the same suffering, man, that Christ went through in his day. If you're willing to do that, to take up that cross, that burden, the suffering and the humiliation of being an Israelite in the Israelite school of UPK, then there you are worthy of Christ. All right. With that, I turn the class over to priest and officer Shawak for the reading of the scripture.
We're the ISUPK, started out of 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York. Rule for new brother and sister. When a new brother and sister comes to the school, they are off limits for 6 months. They are to be saluted only. They are here to shed themselves of the world. If they need transportation, the teacher will arrange it. After 6 months, if a brother or sister has an interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to a brother or sister. There's another 6 months, which the brother and the sister will court each other. After this 6 months period, the brother and the sister will get permission from the head to marry. Tithes, which is a commandment, Numbers 18 and 21. Malachi 3 and 8 through 10 means tenth in the Hebrew. 10% of every penny of any increase the Most High gives you. Give to the Treasury Department or teacher. Priest fund, free will offering for priests, not mandatory. Whatsoever amount you would like to give. Upcoming holy convocations. Right now we're in the Feast of Hanukkah. Announce any holy convocation from the sheep. Remind Akim and Akwaf to check the bulletin board in the hallway if anyone wants to be a trooper in the school to start wearing all black, boots, shirts, pants, headband, and scarf. With that, we're gonna give a courtesy salute to the teacher. Everybody at the module.
Need to stand.
This means to stand. Amaba Shabbat, Amazin, Barak, Yahweh Ba'ashim, Yahweh Shah, Barak Atah. Sign, face the sisters. Give a courtesy salute to the sisters. Amazin, Amaba Shabbat, Barak, Yahweh Shamar, Alatah Ba'ashim, Yahweh Shah. That been said, Mazbatah, dismissed.
Yeah.
What's going on?
Look at him. Cap do it. Not to give me damn another question. He do. Look, well, I got locked in on conform. You know, y'all can talk us now. Cap, I was gonna go down that word conform. What do conform mean? It's really.
That's what you wanted, right?
That's
That's a precept, not conform.
Do not conform. So what do conform mean? You know how to read conform different. That's different too. Conform. I mean,
Means
there's a definition.
conform is what we've done in America.
Right.
Yeah, there we go.
Oh, yeah.
You good? I'm right.
We got a pen or marker.
I got an ink pen on. We go.
So to conform, think about it. Think about the words reform, conform. What does it mean to reform? What does it mean to form?
Form means to make or to mold into something.
Meaning you the individual. So hold on. So to form something, you remember I said in Romans where the potter, where he's forming the clay. And the scripture says, does the clay have the power to say to the potter, why have thou made me thus? So the potter is the one that actually forms the clay to make either a vessel, a cup, a pot, etc. So you're the one that's forming it. So the original individual that had the thought, he forms it. What does it mean to reform? Michelle? To reform means to take what? That same thing that potter formed and reform it to something else. Right? So what does it mean to conform? Who can answer that? What does it mean to conform? You got one that formed it, one that reformed it. What does it mean to conform? Student, any student. Go ahead.
To pretty much go along with, if we supposed to be separate, we're not being separate. We're being just like everybody else. You know what I mean?
Conform means to go ahead, sis. I like that better. You're right, but conform means to adhere to. Like you know that you should be doing something else, but instead of doing that something else, you say, oh, like a lot of us do in Christian society, in Christmas. We know Christmas is pagan, but what we say, oh, it's for the kids.
Right.
So we do what? We conform to it to please some form of our flesh, which is, I'm gonna tell you something so powerful. What's powerful is pleasing your children, man. You want your children, man, to feel like you're a good parent, that love you and appreciate, you being here, how desperately I wanted a little man like you, a little son. I don't have no sons like you. And to please you, I would do almost anything as my son. I'll conform to things that you wanted me to conform to in order for you to have a smile on your face and be happy. I would do that as your father. I would conform to the things that you wanted me to do in order to please you because, now you my heir, you my firstborn. You see that? And you got some, Michelle?
We still alive.
Oh, I was alive. I didn't know we were still alive.
You ever said anything out of protocol?
That's generally what we do in America. We conform. to please our children, to please society, not to buck the status quo. We conform. That's what we do on Christmas Day, man. We conform.
So like that one.
Go ahead.
If I may, can I read some of the definitions that Webster has for the word conform?
Please.
It's real interesting. As a transitive verb, to give the same shape, outline, or contour to. Bring into
That's heavy. That's heavy. To bring what? The same what?
They say to give the same shape,
The same shape.
outline, or contour.
Which
to.
means what? Christianity has a particular shape. Christmas has a particular shape. It is the worship of supposedly Christ, represented in a tree decked with gold and silver. I don't know how the hell they managed to push that on us. How in the hell does that tree represent Christ?
Right.
Come on now. Nobody ever questioned that? Come on, how in the hell did we conform to that one right there?
Another definition, bring into harmony or accord.
And bring into harmony and accord, that's a better one, but both of them apply. To bring into the harmony of a particular way of doing something. Like we oppose this thing at first. Like think about they come in here and they put all of us in slavery in this room. You know, shit. Maybe one of y'all might conform. But the rest of us dead.
Right. Not on time.
You know, maybe we ask them to save Junior right here. Just don't kill a young man. You know what I'm saying? But he might be the one that they put the knife to his slide to get us to say, okay, no, don't leave him alone. You see what I'm saying? He might be the very first one that they say, okay, if you don't conform, he's done.
Come.
And how many of us, man, would you know, see that fate?
Try to save him. Yeah, that's hard.
Like I'll rush the knife. They had to give me the knife first.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But just think about it, man. Think about those the tactics of our oppressor. They will use our young like that, man. So how many of us conformed and then said a confirmation to our other children? This is how we got to be. And then you know what our other children, not knowing our culture, would do what in the earth? They would push Christianity.
Right.
Man, listen, our oppressor used our weaknesses, which was the people that we loved. The spirit of Christmas is murder and rape and robbery and oppression. It got nothing to do with Christ. Go ahead.
Still rolling.
Come on, we're gonna end this real quick. Go ahead and end that feed.